Before the church, before the courthouse, before the town hall. In early Australia, the pub was often the first building a town ever built. These places were not just somewhere to drink, they were the civic heart of the country. Today, Aussie pubs are dying. Over 30 have been demolished in Melbourne alone, and thousands more are on the brink. And what is disappearing with them is something this country may not know how to rebuild. In the earliest days of Australian settlement, the pub was more than a place to quench your thirst. It was the anchor for the whole community, often the very first building to go up, even before the church, the council chambers or the hospital. Dr. Claire Wright, a leading historian of Australian life, points out that in towns like Bathurst, the Royal Victoria Hotel opened its doors in 1832, more than a decade before the first council chambers or hospital were even planned. The old licensing laws were clear. If you wanted to run a pub, you had to live there. The publican's home and the bar were one and the same. Families grew up above the tap room, and the dining room doubled as the town's meeting hall, post office, courtroom, or even a makeshift schoolroom when no other space was available. Council minutes from places like Ballarat record early municipal meetings held in hotel dining rooms, and newspapers from the time advertised the pub as the main gathering point for travellers and locals alike. On the frontier, the pub was not just where you raised a glass, it was where you cast a vote, welcomed a new baby, mourned a neighbour, or cheered the local footy team. The publican living on site was part host and part community leader, trusted to keep the peace and keep the doors open for anyone passing through. Long before there was any formal civic building, the pub held the threads of the town together. It is no wonder that so many Australians, especially those who grew up in the shadow of these old hotels, feel the loss so deeply when a local closes its doors. The pub was not just a business, it was the heart of the town, and for many, the first real home the community ever had. By the 1970s, the old rhythms of pub life started to falter. The first blow came from the roads. With the introduction of a 0.05% blood alcohol limit and the growing reach of random breath testing, the drive home from the pub was suddenly laced with risk. Campaigns like Drink Drive No Way hammered the message home. For many in country towns, the fear of losing a licence, or worse, meant fewer stayed on for that second or third round. Some simply stopped coming altogether. At the same time, the lounge room was becoming a rival. Colour television swept into Australian homes in 1975, followed by VSRS through the late 70s and the 80s. Sporting matches, movies, even the footy grand final, all of it could be watched from the comfort of the couch. Weeknights once spent at the local were now claimed by home entertainment. Studies show that by the turn of the millennium, household television viewing had more than doubled since the mid-70s, while regular pub attendance slid. Then came the Pokies. In 1992, New South Wales pubs were granted the right to install gaming machines. Revenue models shifted almost overnight. For some, it was a lifeline. For others, it was a line they would not cross. One rural publican, asked why he refused to put in Pokies, said simply, "I could not sell the soul of my family's bar for a machine." His regulars dwindled, and so did his takings. The economic ground was shifting, and the old ways of keeping a pub afloat were slipping out of reach. Vulnerability crept in, an opening that would soon be noticed by those with bigger plans for the corner block. On city corners where laughter once spilled out onto the footpath, silence now settles in the shadow of cranes. Over the past 2 decades, the map of Melbourne has been quietly redrawn by property developers, each new tower rising where a pub once anchored the neighbourhood. The numbers are stark. The Melbourne Planning Scheme Amendment, C387, handed down in 2021, catalogued more than 30 cornerside pubs in the CBD alone that have vanished, demolished outright, or hollowed into boutique shells for high-rise apartments. The logic is hard to argue with on paper. A corner block once home to a family-run hotel now fetches millions as a development site. Heritage overlays, intended to protect these buildings, are often whittled down to a single facade or a plaque by the door. Inside, the old meeting rooms and upstairs bedrooms make way for car parks and gymnasiums. Planning applications filed with the City of Melbourne between 2015 and 2021 often list the removal of a pub as a condition for approval. In these documents, the pub is reduced to a line item, an obstacle to be cleared before the real work begins. Dr. Claire Wright, reflecting on this trend, calls it a slow-motion erasure of civic memory. She points out that these were not just businesses, they were the first real public spaces many communities ever had. Their loss is not just about nostalgia, it is about the physical unravelling of a social fabric that took generations to weave. Each demolition leaves a blank, where 100 years of stories once lived, and nothing new moves in to take their place. The city grows taller, but the ground beneath feels emptier. In country towns across Australia, the pub is facing a crisis sharper than anything in living memory. Over the past year, operating costs have soared to levels that many owners simply cannot absorb. Electricity bills, once just another line in the ledger, have tripled for small venues since 2022. Fridges, freezers and kitchen lights that once hummed quietly in the background now eat up thousands each quarter. For a family-run pub in Tamworth or the Riverina, the energy bill alone can swallow an entire week's takings. Rising wages and tighter compliance rules add to the strain. The Hospitality Award has jumped by double digits in just 12 months, and new licensing requirements demand hours of paperwork and costly training. Even the price of a carton of beer or a box of steak has climbed as supply chains stretch thin. Every week, a new closure notice appears on a council website, another pub in New South Wales or Victoria surrendering its licence, its windows darkened, its signboard left blank. The numbers tell a stark story. New South Wales now leads the nation in pub closures, with more than 100 venues shutting their doors in the past 18 months. Across the country, the total count of operating pubs, bars and taverns has slipped below 7,000 for the first time in decades. These are not just statistics, they are a measure of how quickly the heart is being torn from rural Australia. For many small towns, the loss is immediate and profound. The pub is gone, and with it goes the place where neighbours gather, where stories are swapped, and where the community once felt most alive. When a pub disappears, it doesn't just take away a place to buy a beer. It quietly unthreads something vital from the fabric of a town. The old regulars notice first, the silence where laughter and stories used to spill out onto the street, the end of chance meetings that once turned neighbours into mates. For decades, researchers have tracked what happens to communities when their gathering places vanish. Surveys of country towns show a measurable rise in people reporting feelings of isolation after a pub closure. In some areas, the rate of social isolation among older residents has climbed by as much as 12% since the wave of shutdowns began. The numbers only tell part of the story. One former regular, a retired shearer from the Riverina, described it as losing his second home, the one place he could count on being known by name. Without the casual check-ins and shared meals, the small rituals that held people together start to fade. Sporting clubs struggle to find a venue for their end-of-season gatherings. Local charities lose a space for raffles and fundraisers. Birthdays, wakes, even the odd wedding, move to cold function rooms or get cancelled altogether. What is left is a quieter, lonelier kind of town. The loss of the pub leaves a hole that no amount of online connection can quite fill. It's not just nostalgia, it's the slow, almost invisible erosion of the social glue that kept Australian communities resilient generation after generation. Across the country, a stubborn handful of pubs are still holding on, sometimes by their fingernails, sometimes by the collective grip of the whole town. In 2023, just over 7,000 pubs, bars and taverns remained open in Australia. Most belong to one of four groups: family-run independents, corporate chains, tourist-focused boutique hotels, and a small but growing number of community-owned co-ops. These last survivors don't fit the old mould, but they haven't let go of the idea that a pub can still be the heart of a community. In towns like Wagga Wagga and Murray Bridge, locals have pooled their savings, run sausage sizzles and sold raffle tickets to buy back their endangered hotels. The Murrumbidgee pub was saved when residents raised $380,000 to form a not-for-profit trust. The Coopers Creek pub in Queensland reopened after a community co-op secured a $1 million loan and restored the building with volunteer labour. In Port Fairy, a heritage pub was revived as a cultural centre, with profits reinvested into local events. A co-op leader from Bendigo puts it simply: if we lose the pub, we lose the place where stories get told and neighbours become friends. We weren't ready to let that go. These co-ops are rarely easy or quick to get off the ground. Most need hundreds of thousands of dollars in fundraising and a willingness to run on slim margins. But against the tide of closures, they offer a flicker of hope, proof that a determined community can still keep the doors open, if only just. For now, the map of Australia still has a patchwork of pubs run by locals, for locals. Whether that patchwork will grow or shrink, only time will tell. Today, the old pub stands as a memory, its doors closing on more than just a business. As property deals and Pokies reshape our towns, we lose not just a watering hole, but the first building of Australian community. What disappears is not nostalgia, it is the living heart of mateship.